Welcome everyone to a groundbreaking webinar series on inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility, presented by Gaining Vision 2020 in partnership with Connect for Life Charity. I'm Sean Pickard, and we are excited to bring you this transformative series of sessions that explore the interconnected themes of inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. Our mission is to create a platform that celebrates the uniqueness of individuals, promotes equitable practices, and ensures accessibility for all. Join us as we delve into thought-provoking conversations, exchange insights, and learn from experts in the field, all with the aim of fostering a more inclusive, diverse, and accessible society. Welcome to I.D.E.A. Do you know what this means? We like to start each session by acknowledging the land in which we call home. Gaining Vision 2020 acknowledges the lands which constitute the present-day City of Mississauga as being part of the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat and Wyandot Nations. Gaining Vision 2020 recognizes these people and their ancestors as people who inhabited the land since time immemorial. The City of Mississauga is home to many global Indigenous peoples. Gaining Vision 2020 is actively working towards reconciliation by confronting our past and our present, providing space for Indigenous peoples within their territory to recognize and uphold their treaty rights, and to support Indigenous peoples. Gaining Vision 2020 formally recognizes the Anishinaabe origins of our name and continue to make Mississauga a safe space for all Indigenous peoples. Guerdah Felix is a certified spiritual life coach and a certified spiritual self-mastery teacher. With over 10 years of experience, she has learned and continues to learn different coaching modalities. Guerdah is also a distinguished Toastmaster. She has volunteered as a host to people of different ethnicities and facilitated workshops on diversity and inclusion. Guerdah has also organized several multicultural events and led conversations on unconscious bias. Here today to talk about race and racism, ladies and gentlemen, Guerdah Felix.
Thank you, Sean, and welcome everyone to Race and Racism. This is an important topic. It is a topic that will trigger you. It is also a topic that we need to discuss. The reason is quite simple. In order for us to move forward in this world, we need to take a look at race and racism and how it impacts and how it impacted us as well. I will ask you to be mindful of yourself as you listen to our conversation on race and racism. I want you to know this is a safe space, and I will do, along with Sean, everything in our power so that you feel safe here. So at any time, if you feel triggered, please take a deep breath. I am saying all this because as I was researching this subject, I too was triggered. The reason is quite simple. As human beings, we are interconnected. And I want you to think of that as we will discuss this subject of race and racism. Sean, are you ready for our conversation?
Oh, I believe I'm ready, but I think we should probably add that if you need to take a short break, folks, hit pause. Take a short break. We will be here for you when you get back.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Race and racism. Let's start with the intention of this session. My intention is that at the end of this session, you will know the distinction between race, racism, and how race and racism affects our lives even till today. The objectives of this workshop. What you will learn today is, of course, the definition of race, the definition of racism, how to recognize racism, and how to stop it, because we do have the power to stop it. I hope that as I go and I share with you the different definitions, that you won't be too confused. Because as I was going through the definition, it confused me a little bit, and then I understood why. So are we ready to go into the race subject?
I think we should.
Okay. Definitions of race. Any one of the groups that humans are often divided into based on physical traits regarded as common among people of shared ancestry. That's one.
That's a big one, though.
Yes.
Is it the biggest one, though?
Don't know if it is, but that's the first one that I took as a definition. The second one is race is a categorization of humans based on shared physical or social qualities into groups generally viewed as distinct within a given society. The term came into common usage during the 16th century when it was used to refer to groups of various kinds, including those characterized by close kinship relations. That's another big one, wouldn't you say?
There is an awful lot there,
Yes.
Guerdah.
Yes. Oh, so now let's move on to the other one. A group of people sharing a common cultural, geographical, linguistic, or religious origin or background. And we're not done yet.
Oh, no.
No. A competition between people, animals, vehicles, etc., to determine which one is the fastest, a contest of speed. That I went a different way there.
Slightly different.
Yes. And then the last one that I picked up was a contest or competition in which different people, groups, or teams try to win something or to do something first. Now, do you know why I did this?
Well, I think that you did this because this is a small word,
Yes.
but it's got big meaning.
Yes.
And some people might not know the difference between the two.
Absolutely. I like that you brought that up. And it's also because it is, for me, I find it was confusing in the sense that when we talk about race, we have so many different definitions. But in the big scheme of things, because it is a categorization, right? To me, it felt like it was also a competition.
Well, you see, that's a word that stuck out to me as well, was categorization that ends in competition.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So that's why I brought those different definitions, because as we put, we want to put everybody in a different box to do what? So that we can compete with each other. And so that's why I found race to be a little bit, it changed the way that we see things and we see people.
I think some people got the definitions kind of reversed along the way.
Yes.
Blurred the lines a little.
Yeah, absolutely. So now the idea of race as it is now, because as you heard, I said that it started in the 16th century. But the way that it is used now, this use of race dates to the late 18th century and was for many years applied in scientific fields such as physical anthropology, with race differentiation between being based on such qualities as skin color, hair, head shape, and particular sets of cranial dimensions. So back in the days, they used to say, for example, black people, we had smaller heads. And because of that, we were less intelligent. And every time I heard this, I said, oh, thank goodness my head is big, because that means that I'm not part of this categorization. That's the way I used to make fun of it a little bit, but that's the way that we used to categorize people. Advances in the field of genetics in the late 20th century determined no biological basis for races in this sense of the word, as all human beings alive today share, now, are you ready? 99.99% of their genetic material. So as we want to put people in little boxes, cages, we're realizing that we are all the same. Isn't that interesting? So for this reason, the concept of distinct human races today has little scientific standing and is instead understood as primarily a sociological designation identifying a group sharing some outward physical characteristics and some commonalities of culture and history. So we started by making it so hard to understand, and now we're saying, well, simply put, this is what it is.
So we made it much more difficult for ourselves and then tried to make it easier?
Yeah.
I don't think we succeeded.
No, not at all. And so, having explained this, what would you say the definition of race is?
I have to go back to the big words. It's a categorization of individuals.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Instead of people. It's categories of people.
Yep. So now there are racial classifications. Are you ready for the racial classifications? We started with 4 major races. So based on racial classification made by Carlton S., the world population can be divided into 4 major races, namely white Caucasian, 2, can you say that word because I have difficulty with it's
Mongoloid or Asian.
Okay. The third one is Negroid black, and the fourth one is
Australoid.
Yes.
Australoid, sorry.
Yes. So those are 4 major races. Okay? And then we have more racial classifications. Some say that there are 5 main races. Do you know what they are?
Well, we started out with white or Caucasian. There was
Black.
Black. There was the that was I believe the indigenous peoples of Australia. And Asian.
Yes. So we still have white, black, Asian, now Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, and American Indian or Alaskan Native. So we've made it a little bit big.
They've added 2 indigenous peoples there.
Yes. And then after that we added even more. We brought it to 7. The most recent United States Census officially recognized 7 racial categories: white, black, Latino, Asian, Native American / Alaskan Native, and Native Hawaiian. And now we have as well as people of 2 or more races.
Yes.
But what are the name of those 2 people or more, 2 and more races?
I don't know, honestly.
Okay, so there are no names for them, okay? But we have added them, but there's no name. All this to say that, again, we are complicating the way that human beings are, when in fact we don't need to complicate it that much. But that's what we've done so far. Is there anything you would like to add?
I'm just amazed at how difficult we've made things for ourselves.
Yes. Yes, we have. And also, it also served some people.
Yes.
Okay? So, I have an exercise for us
Okay.
to do together. Because we've learned of so many different races, I have an exercise for us. I will show you some cards, and I would ask you to, first of all, tell us what you see on the card, and also tell us what race do you think this person is.
Okay.
Are you game?
I'll give it a try.
Okay. So, the first one, this is the first card. And this is it.
So I see a little boy with glasses.
You're funny. Okay, say more.
If I had to pick a nationality, so to speak, I believe that young lad would be in the Asian category.
Okay. Asian from where?
Oh, I'm not sure whether it's the Middle East or not, but Pakistan, India, somewhere around that region.
Okay. Thank you. Now I have another card. Just so you know, I'm not going to tell you who they are because
At this point in time, I'm guessing blind anyways for
Okay.
people I don't even know.
Okay. That's the next card. It's a picture of a lady.
Yeah, we do have a lady smiling.
Okay.
And I would say that that lady is probably, I'm going to go with a Spanish descent, so Latino, I believe it is.
Okay. Anything else?
That's what stands out of me.
Is she black Latino or is she white Latino?
Well, with a black and white picture, it's hard to tell.
Okay.
Let's go black Latino.
Okay. Thank you. Another card. And this time, this is a picture of a man, an older man. That's the way I see him. Is that the way you see him?
That is an older man. Looks like he's possibly freezing, wearing the winter clothes anyways. But I'd say we have a white guy here.
Okay. Okay. And what made you say that?
What made me say that?
Yeah.
It just looks like he has light-colored skin.
Okay. Thank you.
Can't see the eyes.
Yes. Okay. And this time we have the picture of a younger lady, a young lady, I would say. And what do you see?
I see a young lady who I would say is probably from an indigenous peoples. So let's call American Indian, American Native.
Wow.
Or Native American, that's the proper way.
Thank you. Interestingly, I did not see that in her.
No?
No, I thought perhaps she's Spanish. I don't know why, but I would not even have. No, that wouldn't what I would say about her. So, okay, the last one. Again, this is a picture of another lady.
Yes, we have a lady, let's go with middle age, and I would say of Asian descent.
Okay, anything else?
All I'm picking up is a brick wall in the background. So she lives in a developed nation.
Thank you. Guerdah, if you're asking yourself, Guerdah, why did you have this exercise? Well, for me, I do not really think that we can pinpoint where someone comes from when we see them. We cannot say, it's not definite that we can say, we can guess, But it's not definite that we can say, oh, this person, and especially now with the mix, there's a mix in different cultures and in different nationalities and in different races. It's not as easy to describe them and to know where they come from.
I do have an easy description for all of them, though.
They are human?
They're Canadian.
They're Canadian? Okay, we'll go with that. And that's my point. In terms of race, especially in this day and age, I think the simpler definition is race is a social construct used to group people. And the way we did that, it was a hierarchy of human grouping system, and then we would give them racial classifications to identify, to distinguish, and marginalize some groups across nations, regions, and the world, which tells me that we wanted to gain something from this classification.
Absolutely. Just have to wonder what that was when the person that came up with it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Distinction between race and ethnicity. Race refers to a person's physical characteristics, such as bone structure, skin, hair, or eye color. Race is determined by how you look. The term race refers to the concept of dividing people into populations or groups on the basis of various sets of physical characteristics. Ethnicity, however, refers to cultural factors, including nationality, regional culture, ancestry, and language. Ethnicity is a population group whose members identify with each other on the basis of common nationality or shared cultural traditions.
So you can have different ethnicities inside the race then?
Absolutely. Which makes it more complicated.
Again.
Right? And the way I view this is that ethnicity is something that I would say about myself. You know, I'm from this ethnic background. But race is not something that I would necessarily discuss. For example, I did not know I was black until I came to Canada. Because in Haiti, everybody's black. Because of that, we don't discuss race. But when I came to Canada, that's when because people have been saying that I'm black, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm black. And that's the big difference. So the race, usually people put it on you, but ethnicity, that's something you would use to describe yourself.
It's a very unique situation to be in.
Yeah, because as we start again, because we are a society that moves, human beings, we travel from one country to the other, we have a lot of expatriates or immigrants, depending on where you stand. Because of that, that makes a difference. That's when, for example, and I heard this from people from African countries. I did not know I was black until I came to the States. I did not know I was black until I came to Canada, because this is not a subject that we talk about when we are in a country that represents us.
Everyone's the same.
So now the question, I have a question for you, because you and I, we are very different, right?
Yes, yes we are.
Okay. Have you ever had, or when did you discover you were white?
I think I've always just kind of known it, not so much a discovery.
But how did that happen?
Maybe I haven't discovered that yet. I don't know.
You understand my point, right?
Yeah.
Because somewhere down the line, it must have been a subject of conversation for you to understand, oh, okay, I'm white. Because if it wasn't in my country, I would not have known that, oh, Guerdah is black. So that's why I was asking the question.
Yeah, it's a good question, but I'm going to have to reflect on that one a little more, I think.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask the same thing of our audience to also reflect about this. When did you know that you were from such and such race? Because perhaps, since you may not have never thought about it, that would bring you to discover certain things about yourself. And it is important for the subject that we are diving in now.
Absolutely.
Because we know there is racism in race, right? Okay. And now we are at racism. We're going to tackle racism. The definition. What is racism? What do you think it is? Just
to me, racism is let's call it a dislike or a disparaging of an individual or group of individuals based upon skin color.
Okay. Okay.
Based upon language.
Yes.
There could be any thing that's based upon, but it's going to be skin color, language, something like that. Yeah, someone just doesn't like an individual.
Thank you. Here's the definition that I have here. Racism is a prejudice. It's also a discrimination or antagonism by an individual, by a community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized.
There's a lot there.
Yes. It is also the belief that different races possess distinct characteristics, abilities, or qualities, especially to distinguish them as inferior or superior to one another. It's when one group is placed higher than the other group. This is racism.
It feels a bit like an ego has a bit of play there too.
Absolutely. Yes, the ego is strong. So here is the history of racism. To understand how race and its counterpart, racism, are woven into the very fabric of American society, we must explore the history of how race, white privilege, and anti-blackness came to be. Within the first decades of the 1600s, the first Africans were captured and brought to the American colonies as enslaved labor, because most colonies have made enslavement legal. At this time in colonial America, enslaved Africans were just one source of labor. The boundaries between groups were more fluid, but began to shift over the next few decades to make strict distinctions, which eventually became law. So let me sum it up. So in the 1600s, yes, there was slavery. Africans were brought to America. And in that time, it was still okay in the sense that it wasn't as big as it became in the 1800s, because the slaves were able to communicate and connect with people who did not have a lot of money. Let's say white people who didn't have a lot of money, they could, be with the slaves. But in the 1800s, they needed to make that separation even more. And that's when it got even deeper. Why? Because the group of slaves and people who did not have as much money, they were becoming a bigger group than the one who were. And so what did we do? We create even a bigger separation.
Create another group in the middle, a buffer zone.
Yeah. Yes. So this is the story of racism. So how is it affecting us today? John Lewis said, the scars and stains of racism are still deeply embedded in the American society. I believe it's not only in the American society, it's basically, well, when we say American, we're not talking only about the States. It's everywhere. It's just that it has different degrees depending where you are.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so how is this affecting us today? I was having a conversation a while back, maybe last year, with someone who is from the States, and the person was talking about her last name. And I remember the person saying, my last name, we have a lot of buildings with my last name. And the person is a black person, and I thought, oh, that means she's rich. That's what I thought. I thought, oh, she's rich. And then, so I continued. I didn't ask any question. I just continued to listen. She said, well, you know, what that means is that it's all slaves' names. And then suddenly I was hit with the pain that this person and other people like her, they have been given a slave name, and they have this reminder every day of their life of said name.
That can actually have a really negative impact on an individual, I'm sure.
Yes. So this is one way that racism is affecting us today.
A constant reminder.
Yes. Another time, I went to see the movie Selma. For those who don't know the movie Selma, it's about Martin Luther King Jr. At the time when he lived. And I went to see the movie Selma, and I went by myself, and I watched the movie, and it's only at the end of the movie, when the movie was done, I realized that I watched this movie on the edge of my seat. And that's when I realized, well, if I, who's not been through this at all, only sat for 2 hours watching what happened then, how would the people who have been in that experience feel to this day?
What are the scars from those that lived it then?
Yes. And that's when I realized how racism is still affecting us today.
And it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yes. So, and the other part, so as a black person, this is what I want to say, and I've noticed this in many black people. As a black person, I would say that we tend to want to be the best that we can be, so that there is no way that anyone can find anything negative to pinpoint on us. So because of that, a lot of times I hear people say, black people are so extra. And I say, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, that's why. It's because I don't want to give you a possibility for you to say, I've done something wrong. Although it's normal for anybody to do something wrong. But that's how heavy this is. That's how heavy this is.
It's very heavy.
Yes.
Yes.
So now I'm going to ask you, having heard all of this, how has this affected you?
Oh, well, you see, I've got a bit of a unique story there.
Okay,
Guerdah.
go ahead.
Let's look at a classic example of racism, which was World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened in Canada during World War II, Japanese Canadians put in internment camps. The residential schools were in full force. But German officers had camps with buildings. The POW, they were POWs, but they've got solid roof over their head, great meals, and the only reason they're there is because they're German. So the white guys in the good buildings with good food, getting an education through the whole war, while Canadian citizens live in squalor, shall we say.
Okay.
Now, the reason that story touches on me is the buildings for one of those camps that the German officers lived in, they're still in the town that I grew up in. And I actually went to high school in those very buildings. So even though it was 40 years later, there were some pretty solid buildings that these folks had versus what others did. And that's not to mention the local population living on rations while these guys didn't.
Absolutely. So I have a question. You used the word POWs.
Prisoners of war.
Thank you. So we are going to take a deep breath because it is definitely a heavy subject.
Yes.
And you are impacted. I am impacted. We are all impacted. Whether we lived through it or we've had that specific experience or not.
It's all there.
It's all there. So we're taking a deep breath. This is still affecting us today. And what I am asking is that there will be different stories that you will hear. And as you hear them, I am asking that you be not only mindful of yourself, but also not to feel shame in the sense that to put the guilt on you, because you were not there at that time. But it is important to recognize the pain that was done and to do what we can to move forward and be better. Because that's the only way we will be able to get rid of racism.
It's the only way is to move forward and recognize we're all the same.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I just want to remind you that I did warn you in the beginning of this session that we were going to discuss something that is going to trigger us. And this brings me to the next subject, which is the same, but how is racism affecting us today? What we need to pay attention to is our mindset, because we need the mindset to change. The way we used to do things need to change because we're moving forward. The judgment of one group over the other also needs to change. When we are interacting with one another, let's interact as equals instead of interacting as one person comes to save or one person comes to take or one person comes to give. No, let's interact as equals, because by interacting as equals, then we know there will be no judgment.
What
do you think? No, it's a step forward.
A step, yes. A step.
Absolutely. And the reason it's also affecting us today, it's because, you know, in the States, for example, there's no reparations. There's no taking
accountability and
Thank
responsibility.
You. Yes, over it. And a lot of times in many different cultures, when things have happened, there were or there has been some reparations and people taking accountability so that they can move forward. And I think that's what's missing, especially in the States. And it's not only the States because, you know, we've had some, for example, here in Canada, we've had the schools.
The
right?
residential schools, yes.
Thank you. And I think we need to be accountable to what was done, and then so that we can start to bring peace into a very difficult situation.
That's going to be a long process, though.
It is. It is a long process.
But the only way to do it is to start it.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the only way we, as human beings, we will be able to help one another moving forward. Because when something was done to you, and that's in general, whatever has been done to you, and you felt that you were wrong, and you were wrong, you, in a way, expecting the person who's done the wrong to come and say, you know, I've done this, and I really apologize, and I'm really sorry for doing this to you, because that shows that the person at least recognized that they've harmed you and wronged you, and now you can say, okay, I can forgive, okay, let's move on, and then we can move on. Because that has never happened, and to this day, we still have the proof.
Mm-hmm. Everything's right there.
Exactly. Yes, and that's why it's harder when we talk about race and racism. That's why it's harder for people to move. So what is needed to bring about a change? Well, open dialogue between different groups. You know, those types of workshops as we are doing now, because we need to, you know, simply be open.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Have the conversation, see where it goes.
Exactly. And then we can move from there. When, for example, even in the different companies, I know there's a lot of talks about diversity and inclusion, and the companies now are putting, you know, things in place in order to do it better. But when something has been put in place, it needs to be evaluated. Because you cannot just put something in place and say, check, and leave it like that. No, it needs to be evaluated in order for you to know, is it doing the job that you intended it to do? Because if not, it's not going to help us.
Things better be moving in the right direction, or you need to change direction.
And then to recognize that we are all human beings going through the same human experience. That's a tough one.
It's a very tough one.
It's a very tough one. And the other one is, we need a profound change of heart. The change comes from the heart. It's not so much, yes, we need the mindset, but this has to change.
One can overrule the other at times.
Yes. So how would you, for example, when I'm asking for a profound change of heart, how can you give some examples of how that could happen?
A profound change of heart.
Mm-hmm.
Having a illustration
Mm-hmm.
of the exact opposite of what you believed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, for example, just having a personal experience that you weren't expecting to come,
Mm-hmm.
having a stranger help you
Mm-hmm.
that you didn't expect, that can help you realize
Yes.
the way things were going.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And also to walk in the other person's shoes. That's the other way that you can.
It's a very big one.
Yeah, that's very big one. There's a young man who he was doing a project, and I don't know if it was a school project, but The project was, I think he needed to be, he was going to be, to put himself into a black person's shoes, okay? To do the experience as a black person. He was supposed to do that for 2 weeks. How long do you think he lasted?
I'm going to go 2 days.
Not even.
Not even.
Not even. And that's when he started to realize certain things, because he realized that the way that he used to be treated when he wasn't in his black person's skin was very different than when he put that on. And he also recognized his privilege.
Which
right?
is big, yeah.
Which is big, yes. And because of that, that's how he started to change and do things in a very different way.
So growth as a person.
Yes. And I think that's what, I think those would be the exercises that people would need to do, whether we start in the school or we do it at work, but we need to do those types of exercise so that people, everybody understand this is the reality of someone that is very different than you.
And what's it going to take to get that person, that lived experience, that slice of what that person's living through?
Well, it takes one person, one person to start it. It takes, you know, whether it's a company, whether it's a school, whether it takes that for us to start to experience it. And by doing that, then we will be able to understand this is what other people have been going through. This is their experiences. Because if we have not experienced something, we tend to say, well, you know, I don't really believe what you're saying, because I've had people say this, or we are just surprised.
It's very true.
We're just surprised. You know, I had in 1997, I had somebody say to me, well, you know, I don't want to be working with a black person. And everybody was surprised when I said that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that somebody said to you. Well, he did say it.
Yeah.
So again, we have to be very mindful of that. This is a very interesting situation. Example of racial discrimination, prejudice and biases.
It happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What else?
Well, we have stereotyping here that happens.
Yes, give me an example.
Oh, you can't do that because you're this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now take this out and put whatever word you want in there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Or, you know, we do that with everyone in a way. If someone is bigger, we imagine this person cannot do that. This person cannot dance because he's too big or she's too big. You're not supposed to be dancing or do the steps if you are too big. Mm-hmm. But the person is dancing, but the other person is thinking the person cannot. And we do that for everything. So yes, stereotyping. And then racial profiling.
That's the big one.
That's the big one. That happens a lot, for example, with when black men have a nice car. You get stopped a lot by the police. Because technically, as a black person, you cannot have the money to buy this car. So if you have this car, you must be in drugs, you must be selling drugs, you must be doing something that is illegal. That's what that is.
It's exactly what that is, yeah.
It is a tough subject. And I've said it over and over and over again. But it is a tough subject that we cannot run away from. If we want to change this world and make it better than it is now, we have to face it. This subject of race and racism. Now, there's a quote that I thought it was brilliant, and this is from Ta-Nehisi Coates is the author of Between the World and Me. He's a well-known author. He says, the race is the child of racism, not the father.
It's actually a profound way of looking at it, right?
Yeah. I know I had to stop when I read this. I'm like, what? But race came before. How can it be? How can it be the child? It came before. But then when I thought about it, I understood. And I will again mention the quote by John Lewis. The scars and stains of racism are still deeply embedded in the American society. Now we've come to the end of our workshop. And in summary, we've seen, or we've learned, or we've shared together what race is, what racism is, when did race and racism start, how does one affect the other, how to recognize racism and speak against it. And you know, all this reminds me of Martin Luther King's, remember?
I remember.
Okay,
I don't know it word for word.
No, me neither, but the speech that he gave about the dream that he had of the black children and the white children being together, and that we can move forward in this. This is what that reminded me of. And although we've seen, you know, it's not like we haven't seen. We've seen that dream. We have a glimpse of that dream.
We've had moments of it.
Yes. And we need more.
We do. We do indeed.
So I would like to also say that we have different, how do you call this? We have put together some references and also books that you can read in order for you to know more about this subject. And although, once again, it is a tough subject, but it is well worth it.
It is a very tough subject, but rewarding in the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you, and thank you to our audience.
Until next time, everyone. Bye for now.